The wolf doesn't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. Welcome back, Ascenders. Let me ask you something up front. When was the last time you felt truly understood, not just heard, but understood? If your answer is never, you're not broken. You're just Sigma. And today, we're tearing through one of the rawest truths that society refuses to acknowledge: why Sigma males often walk alone, and why that might just be their greatest strength. See, the world worships the extrovert ideal, the loudest in the room, the most connected, the life of the party. But what happens when you're not interested in the noise? What if you don't need a crowd to feel complete? That's where the Sigma male lives. On the edges of the social grid, in the quiet, in the clarity. But don't confuse solitude with sadness. Don't mistake silence for weakness. Sigma males have few or no friends, not because they're antisocial, but because they're anti-fake. They're not buying into the friendship for convenience model. They're not here to play nice in a game of shallow alliances, and that makes people uncomfortable. Today's episode isn't about bashing friendship. It's about understanding why a Sigma male chooses to walk alone, and why that path often becomes the sharpest blade in his arsenal. We're diving into 10 unconventional, unspoken, and underrated reasons Sigma males keep their circle either extremely small or completely empty. You won't find these in your average alpha versus beta videos. This is for the minds running on a different operating system. This is for those who've been called too intense, too private, or too distant for speaking their truth without dressing it up. So if you're tired of surface-level breakdowns and want to finally understand why your solitude isn't a flaw, but a signal, you're exactly where you need to be. And if you're part of this tribe of thinkers, lone builders, and nonconformists, hit that subscribe button now. Because here on Sigma Ascends, we don't blend in, we build up. We don't seek noise, we seek precision. We're not just viewers, we're ascenders. Let's get into it. 1. The echo chamber rejection. The world thrives on comfort, especially the comfort of agreement. Most people surround themselves with voices that reflect their own. It's not about truth, it's about validation. But Sigma males, they reject echo chambers by nature. When a Sigma male walks into a conversation, he doesn't aim to fit in. He aims to make sense. He's not trying to be contrarian, but he won't fake agreement to keep things smooth. That kind of authenticity rips through surface-level comfort like a blade. And for many, that's threatening. Most social groups are built like safety blankets. Same values, same jokes, same gossip loops. They're comfort circles. But a Sigma male doesn't operate on comfort. He operates on clarity. That means questioning assumptions, challenging lazy logic, and refusing to nod along to keep the peace. It's not about being difficult, it's about being honest. And when you challenge a group's shared illusion, you're not seen as brave. You're seen as disruptive. That's why Sigma males often get pushed out of social groups, not because they're disliked, but because they break the unspoken rules of groupthink. They force people to confront what they've been ignoring, their contradictions, their compromises, their cowardice. The average person doesn't want a friend who sharpens them. They want a mirror that flatters them. And when a Sigma refuses to play mirror, he becomes an outsider. But here's the catch. Sigma males don't mourn that rejection. They expect it. They build themselves to stand alone, because while echo chambers feel warm, they breed weakness. And Sigma males, they're too focused on growth to accept emotional dead zones. They'd rather walk alone in clarity than get applause in a lie. That's not arrogance, that's discipline. 2. Too much signal, not enough noise. If modern communication was a frequency, most people are tuned into noise, trends, gossip, emotional performance, surface talk. It's all around us, loud, but meaningless. But Sigma males are wired for signal, the sharp, distilled, valuable part of any exchange. They can sit through a conversation for 5 minutes and know instantly whether it has depth or if it's just social grease. And the truth? Most of it is fluff. That's why they mentally check out of most interactions. A Sigma's brain is constantly filtering, is this useful? Is this real? Does this matter? If the answer is no 3 times, he's already disengaged. People sense that. They feel the disinterest, even if the Sigma is being polite. And in a world where validation is king, being uninterested is seen as disrespectful, even if it's just quiet observation. Sigma males aren't anti-people, they're anti-waste. And wasting their time on meaningless dialogue is an insult to their focus. That's why they pull away from groups that bond over distractions. They want exchanges that sharpen minds, not just kill time. This is why they often find themselves in long stretches of isolation, not because they want to be lonely, but because they'd rather have one conversation that moves the needle than 100 that just spin in place. So when people say, he's always so distant, what they really mean is, he doesn't fake interest. And that's rare. That's Sigma. 3. Unsubscribed from validation. Look around. Most people are posting, sharing, tagging, and performing for approval. It's a digital stage and the applause is addictive. But Sigma males walk off that stage without regret. They're unsubscribed from the approval economy. It's not that they don't like appreciation. It's that they don't depend on it. They're not chasing group chats, likes, or friend invites. Their sense of self isn't built on how many people remember their birthday. It's built on internal coherence, knowing who they are, what they value, and what they're building. This makes them dangerous in social settings, because when someone doesn't care what others think, they're immune to control, and people fear what they can't influence. Think about it. Most group dynamics are held together by mutual ego boosts, compliments, flattery, approval. But when a Sigma doesn't participate in that exchange, it breaks the flow. He becomes the one who doesn't clap, doesn't flatter, doesn't follow, and people notice. It's not that Sigma males are cold, it's that they're authentic, even when it's inconvenient. And that kind of authenticity costs friends. People start to ask, why is he so distant? Why doesn't he join us? Why doesn't he care what we think? The answer? Because he doesn't need to. Sigma males don't collect people, they connect with purpose. And if that connection isn't grounded in truth, they walk away with no guilt and no announcement. That's not arrogance, that's clarity. 4. Master of the inner court. While most people build their identity in public, shaped by external reactions, expectations, and opinions, Sigma males do it in private. They are masters of their inner court, the mental sanctuary where strategy, introspection, and identity are forged. See, a Sigma doesn't need a crowd to confirm who he is. He doesn't outsource self-worth. Instead, he spends time in deep thought, dissecting his choices, his beliefs, and his actions. It's not overthinking, it's strategic solitude. This internal world is vivid, structured, and rich. When others are scrolling to avoid being alone with their thoughts, the Sigma is diving into his. He refines himself in silence. That's why he doesn't crave constant connection, because his best conversations happen inside. But here's the twist. People misunderstand that inner focus. They think it's coldness or arrogance. They mistake self-containment for disconnection. In reality, the Sigma is more self-aware than anyone in the room. He's done the work, faced the shadows, sat with the truth. That internal clarity makes him intimidating, because while most people are performing or reacting, he's observing, quietly, intelligently, with no emotional panic. That makes others nervous because they can't read him. But here's the truth. Sigma males don't make themselves easy to read because they're not trying to be understood by everyone. They're not trying to be known. They're trying to know themselves. And if that makes them distant, so be it. The inner court is sacred. Not everyone gets access. 5. Time is currency, and they're wealthy. Ask yourself this: how many hours have you spent in conversations that went nowhere? In relationships that drained instead of fueled you? Sigma males keep that number low. Why? Because they treat time like currency, and they're not in the business of wasting it. While others treat friendship like an open buffet, piling up people for comfort or boredom, Sigma males are minimalist. If someone doesn't align with their goals, mindset, or energy, they don't make the cut. This precision makes them seem ruthless. But in reality, they're simply intentional. Time is the only resource you don't get back. Sigma males understand that at a core level. They guard it, structure it, spend it wisely. That's why their calendars aren't cluttered with casual hangouts or pointless calls. They're building mentally, physically, strategically. And here's the secret: most people don't respect your time unless you do. By protecting their time, Sigma males teach people how to treat them. They don't tolerate being kept waiting. They don't engage in conversations that lead nowhere. They don't say yes just to avoid awkwardness. And that offends people who expect availability as a sign of friendship. But here's the truth: being busy isn't the goal. Being focused is. Sigma males aren't just doing more, they're doing what matters. That's why they outgrow friendships faster than most. Not because they're flaky, but because they're evolving rapidly. And when you evolve that fast, not everyone keeps up. 6. Clarity attracts chaos. When a man knows what he wants, who he is, and what he stands for, it doesn't just bring peace, it attracts chaos. Not from within, but from others who aren't used to that kind of sharp definition. Sigma males move with clarity. They don't second-guess their boundaries, their vision, or their standards. And when that kind of certainty enters a room, it exposes everyone who's still figuring themselves out. That exposure, it triggers people. Because it acts as a mirror, and most people don't like their reflection. Friends who used to be close start pulling back. Colleagues start acting weird. Even casual acquaintances start feeling off. Why? Because the Sigma isn't playing the same game anymore. He's no longer available for the drama, the distractions, or the insecurity loops. That kind of detachment is misunderstood as arrogance, but it's really just clarity in motion. And here's the paradox: people are drawn to clarity, but they sabotage it when they get close. They want a leader, a guide, a rock. But when they feel less than in comparison, they either try to compete, copy, or tear the Sigma down, not out of hate, but out of discomfort. That's why Sigma males often isolate themselves after leveling up. Not because they hate people, but because their growth destabilizes relationships that were built on previous versions of themselves. So if you've ever wondered why people pull away when you start getting serious, disciplined, and clear, it's not you, it's the contrast. And that contrast shakes people. But Sigmas don't dilute themselves to make others comfortable. They sharpen the blade and keep walking. 7. Zero interest in the social ladder. The social ladder. Status games. Who's following who got invited where, who's in and who's not. To most people, this is daily fuel, but for Sigma males, it's all just white noise. They have zero interest in climbing a ladder they never asked to be on. Here's the truth: social hierarchies exist in every group, offices, schools, even friend circles, and most people play along, hoping to move up by mimicking behaviors, pleasing the right people, or putting on the right face. But Sigma males, they walk past the ladder entirely. They don't compete, they don't flex, they don't seek status points through association. They're not trying to be the most liked, they're trying to be the most real. And that's the problem. Because when someone refuses to participate in the status game, it breaks the illusion. It threatens those who've built their identity on it. Suddenly, the Sigma becomes a silent challenge, not because he's trying to be better, but because he doesn't care to compare. That lack of interest is powerful and deeply unsettling to the insecure. It's why many people avoid Sigma males without knowing why. They can't control him, can't impress him, can't predict him. He's not trying to lead, he's not trying to follow, he's just walking his own path. In social settings, this makes Sigmas both respected and misunderstood. People may admire their independence but feel uncomfortable around it because it reminds them of their own compromises, their own masks. But Sigma males didn't come to play roles, they came to live truths, and truth doesn't care about popularity. So when they walk alone, it's not because they weren't accepted, it's because they refuse to audition. 8. Selective, not antisocial. Let's kill the biggest myth. Sigma males aren't antisocial, they're hyper-selective, and that's a huge difference. They don't hate people, they just value alignment over attachment. To most, friendship is a numbers game. More connections equals more value. But for Sigmas, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. One real bond beats 100 shallow ones. That's why they filter every interaction. Does this person share my values? Can we grow together, or are we draining each other? Is this energy clean or chaotic? If the answer doesn't match their standard, the Sigma doesn't ghost. He just doesn't engage further. No drama, no scenes, just distance. It's a silent boundary, but a firm one. This makes people assume he's cold or arrogant. But the truth is, he's focused. He doesn't connect to avoid loneliness. He connects to build something real. Think about it. Would you let anyone walk into your home without intention? Then why let them into your mind, your time, your energy? That's the Sigma logic, and it keeps his life light, clear, and strong. So when you see a Sigma alone, don't assume he's unwanted. Understand, he's just unavailable for nonsense. That's not isolation, that's intelligent selection. 9. Weaponized solitude. Most people treat being alone like a punishment, a sentence, something to avoid. But Sigma males, they turn solitude into a weapon. They don't just tolerate being alone, they thrive in it. It's in that silence where they analyze, plan, train, heal, and build. While others lose their minds scrolling through noise just to avoid quiet, the Sigma male sits in stillness like it's a war room. Because to him, silence isn't empty, it's strategic space. He uses that time to sharpen skills, read the plays others miss, train mentally, physically, emotionally. He comes out of solitude not weaker, but more dangerous, more composed, more in control. And people feel that when he re-enters the world. There's a weight to him, a presence that says, I've been building while you've been busy blending. See, solitude for most people is filled with distractions, TV, gossip, scrolling. But for a Sigma, it's discipline in action. He knows this. The deeper you sit with yourself, the clearer your vision becomes. The fewer the voices, the louder the truth. And that's why Sigma males don't rush to fill silence with company. They don't chase noise to mask emptiness. They train in the quiet. So when it's time to act, they strike with precision. This is why they're often underestimated, because they disappear and reappear leveled up. Not loud, not flashy, just better, sharper, focused. That's weaponized solitude. And most people will never understand it, because they fear being alone. The Sigma ? He masters it. 10. Too real for the room. Here's the harsh truth no one wants to admit. Most people can't handle realness. They want smiles, not honesty. Vibes, not values. Appearance over substance. Sigma males are too real for the room because they show up without filters. They don't sugarcoat, they don't fake interest, and they don't play social games just to keep the peace. That kind of raw presence, it makes people squirm. Because when a Sigma speaks, he's not performing. He's telling the truth, unfiltered, director. And in a world built on performance, that feels like aggression. Friends who once laughed with him start calling him too intense. People mistake his bluntness for rudeness, his honesty for arrogance, his boundaries for coldness. But the Sigma isn't trying to win people over. He's trying to stay aligned with truth. That authenticity cuts through fakeness like a blade. And most people, they aren't ready for the cut. They say they want real, but when it arrives, it's too sharp, too direct, too uncomfortable. So what happens? The room gets quieter. The invites stop. The texts fade. And the Sigma? He notices. He just doesn't flinch, because he knows it's better to be alone in truth than surrounded in lies. It's better to lose company than lose yourself. So yes, he's too real for the room, but that's exactly why his presence matters. He's not here to fit in. He's here to remind people what real looks like. If you've made it this far, Ascender, then you already know. This wasn't just a list of personality traits. This was a map. A breakdown of why your path feels so different, so isolating, and sometimes so misunderstood. Let's be clear, being a Sigma male in today's world isn't just about being independent. It's about walking through a society built on illusions and refusing to wear the mask. And that choice, it costs. It costs friendships. It costs approval. It costs comfort. But what you get in return is priceless. Clarity, direction, power, peace. You stop living for others and start leading yourself. You stop chasing belonging and start building identity. And in that shift, something changes. You become sovereign, not controlled, not convinced, not conditioned, just clear. You'll lose people, yes, but you'll gain something far more rare, self-respect. And that's what most people never find, because they're too busy trying to be liked by everyone to be real with themselves. See, the Sigma male isn't empty. He's uncluttered. He isn't lonely. He's precise. He isn't arrogant. He's just done pretending. So next time someone asks why you don't have many friends, or any at all, don't explain. Let your focus speak. Let your peace answer. Let your results echo louder than your circle, because in the end, a pack doesn't make the wolf. The wolf makes himself. And that's what you are, Ascender. Not because I said it, not because this video confirmed it, but because you've always felt it. The disconnect, the resistance, the refusal to conform. That's not weakness. That's your edge. Sharpen it. This is your space. This is your path. And we're here to keep cutting through the noise. So if this hit different, don't just watch in silence. Own it. Subscribe to Sigma Ascends and keep your momentum real. Because here, we don't follow trends. We break patterns. We don't fake energy. We protect peace. We don't talk louder. We think sharper. Until next time, Ascender, stay ruthless with your time. Stay loyal to your vision. And never forget, solitude isn't exile. It's evolution. Catch you in the next one.